And now we're talking about Bluefield State, and it's at home for Bluefield. So I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't be looking to pick them originally, but man, that's a very trendy pick, I think.
Diving forward, touchdown, back inside at the 5, and he's in, touchdown, and he's in for the score. And he bounces into the end zone for 6 more, touchdown.
Methinks not. Methinks not. Methinks not.
What's going on, y'all? Woo-hoo! A victory Sunday feels a lot better than some of them other games, right? All right, so Clarence Jr. breaking down the Bulldogs. We got a lot to discuss today, as you can see from the thumbnail, as you can see by the title. Let's start off with this. Let me get this off my chest right away. From now on, Bluefield State, on all of your apparel, you need to type out Bluefield State University. The next time I see y'all putting BSU on your apparel, I'm sending you a cease and desist. There's only one BSU in the CIAA, and that is the Bowie State University. I'm going to say it one more time. Then I'm going to get my lawyers. Bluefield State. Every time you speak on your university, make sure you say the full name, Bluefield State. I bet not ever catch you using BSU ever again. Ever again. You are Bluefield State. Just now that we got that out the way, let's talk about this game. Listen, let's talk about the good. First of all, the running game did what they were supposed to do. Bluefield State is a school, a team that gives up 40 points a game. They give up over 250 rushing yards a game. They gave up over 200 to Lincoln the week before. And so we did what we were supposed to do. Run the rock nonstop until they stop it. That's what we did. That's what happens. Let's go ahead and look at these numbers. As you can see, we had 23 first downs, 11 rushing, 6 passing, 6 by penalty, 270 rushing yards, 5.5 yards a carry. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Most important part, let's look at the red zone. 6 red zone possessions, and 5 touchdowns. That was one of the most important things, getting into the red zone, converting in the red zone. So, but let's go further than the numbers. Let's look at this part. We finally saw some things from the offense that you can say, okay, there's a little bit of growth here. There's something to build on here. They're trying something here. I saw fullbacks being used. I saw some different formations. I saw I formation. I saw some play action. So we're finally seeing some variety in terms of formation, in terms of play calling. We're finally seeing, hey, do the obvious. They can't stop the run the ball. I even saw run the ball on 3rd and long because, hey, if the team can't stop the run the ball. We can beat Union since they don't really pass, and our run defense is phenomenal. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get to the Union game. We're going to listen. We're gonna get to that. So that was good. Can you believe this is the first game this year? And if I'm going to be real, this might be one of the first games in 3 years where we've tried play action. That sounds wild, don't it? But yeah, we saw some play action. We saw some I formation, quarterback under center. We saw some different formations from the wide receivers. Oh my goodness. So that better improvement. With that being said, there were also some things in this game that just shouldn't have happened. First of all, the penalties were insane. 17 penalties for 184 yards. Now, I'm going to be fair. I'd say about 3 or 4 of those calls were wrong. But even if you take away 4 penalties, that's still 13. You can't have – that's way too many penalties. Especially next week, you're going to be playing Union. You can't get that many penalties. That was a problem. Also, the pass defense it had some issues at times. Now, I understand it's a road game. They got some momentum by recovering an onside kick. You probably relaxed a little bit because at one point the score was 35-10. Understand that. But still, allowing them to get 357 passing yards, that's just too many. Now, we did pick them off twice, so that is good. So we had penalties, too many, gave up way too many passing yards, but held them to 47 total rushing yards. That's good. But the main thing, and this is what we're not going to spend too much time on Bluefield. It's Bluefield. But going forward to next week and going to Virginia Union, let's talk about how we can beat Virginia Union. Because there is a path to beating Virginia Union. Unfortunately, the path to beating Virginia Union is in an area that we have not excelled in at all this season. That's the issue. What do I mean? Well, what I mean by that is the path to beating Union is the passing game. So I'm going to show you quite a few things from Virginia Union because they do have a weakness. First of all, let's look at the last game they just had. This is Union versus Lincoln at home for Union's homecoming. As you can see, Hamas Dorn was 10 of 17 for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, he did throw 3 interceptions, but he also threw 3 passing touchdowns. At one point, at one point in the game, the score was 24-21. And so we're going to look at some of those plays. That's going to lead to the OC. We're going to get into all that. But that was that one. Now, let's look at Union versus Edward Waters. Remember that high-scoring game where Edward Waters won that game off of a last-second field goal? Let's look at basically what I'm saying is the weakness that you would want to exploit versus Union is their secondary. Their pass defense and their secondary is suspect, to say the least. We just saw 3 passing touchdowns they gave up at home for homecoming versus Lincoln. We also see right here, this is them versus Edward Waters. Edward Waters scored 41 points. One was a kick return. But once again, let's look at the numbers in this game. First of all, Edward Waters rushed for 131 yards. But here's the thing right here. 298 in the air. They gave up 300 passing yards to Edward Waters. The QB was 20 of 36. 15 yards per completion. 2 passing touchdowns. They gave up 429 total yards. And Edward Waters could have scored more. They fumbled twice. Also, if you look at this game, you look at where's the penalties? Penalties. Union had 17 penalties in this game. Let's look at the individual. Noah Bolden was 19 of 35 for 283 yards and a touchdown. The secondary, John Tar Thomas, no, that's the running back. Baptiste, 5 catches, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Makai Lovett, 3 catches for 91 yards. That's the pass defense against Edward Waters. So we just showed you. Lincoln got a whole lot of passing yards against them. Edward Waters got a whole bunch of passing yards against them. Now let's take a look at Winston-Salem, a game that they did win. But look at the passing yards they gave up to WSSU. Once again, Winston-Salem, 278 yards passing. 3 passing touchdowns, 400 yards of total offense. Once again, Union again, 9 penalties. So they get a lot of penalties. They can't defend the pass. The secondary is suspect. Dalen Lee, 16 for 32, 278 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jahari Mitchell, 5 catches, 151 yards. Man, basically what it looks like to me is they have some very weak guys in that secondary. And once teams find out who it is, they throw at him all day. Because you're seeing guys 8 for 120, 5 for 150, 5 catches, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. He lit them up. And so that's the weakness that Union has. Their secondary is bad. They can't cover a bed with a blanket. And so that's when people are trying to show that, hey, I know what I'm doing as an OC. This is the opportunity. It's one thing to put up 42 against Bluefield. They give up 40 a game. It's another thing to come up with a coherent offense that can put you in the position to win on the road against the back-to-back conference champion. Man, our secondary better than theirs. Man, forget all that. Our secondary better than theirs. It was a rough game yesterday, but, overall, they've been better than that. All right? So here's the thing. Also, because they have 3 weaknesses. They have bad pass defense. They are heavily penalized. And the last part is their quarterback play is suspect. RJ Morales is the weak link. I was in Ohio, week 0, the first game they had versus Miles. Let me tell you something. RJ Rosales, whatever his name is, he can't be no taller than 5'9". I'm going to show you the quarterback. He has 65 completions on the season in 7 games. He has 10 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He completes less than 60% of his passes. In 7 games, he has a little over 1,000 yards. He averages 156 passing yards a game. So here's the thing. What it's really going to come down to is, can Bowie State contain the run? Because those are the passing numbers, but let's look at the rushing. Curtis Allen has 1,400 yards on the season already and 19 touchdowns. Then the quarterback, Rosales, he has 300 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns rushing. So they want to run the ball, obviously. The question is, can we contain the run? Can we slow down the run? You're going to beat us by 20, man. What's going on, Big Drew? You're going to beat us by 20. I'm going to travel to, must see in person. Yeah, I'm with you on that. You come on, Big Drew. They haven't been able to contain the run the last 3 years. Yes, that is true. That is true. We haven't been able to stop them running the ball for the last 3 years. That is true. They've been. I don't even want to talk about the total number of rush yards that Union has against us over the past 3 years. It's a whole lot, though. It's a whole lot. That is true. But once again, we're now in the space where people are, nervous about their position going forward. So hopefully that can. I haven't lied to you yet. Go look at yeah. Trust me, I know we have not stopped the run at all versus Union in the past 3 years. I know that. But what I'm saying is this. You would think at some point something would. That's the thing, though. Even with Jada Byers gone, they still with Curtis Allen. He's getting 200 rushing yards a game this year. He got 1,400 on the season already. It's still 3 games left to play. He's gonna rush for 2,000 yards this year, easy. But what I'm saying is this. This is what I would do if I was coaching, which I'm not. But this is what I would do. I would go to those corners. I would go to that secondary, and I would tell them, look, you're going to be on an island today. You're going to be on your own. You're going to have to cover those receivers one-on-one. And you better not let R.J. Rosales beat you. That 5'9" chubby kid better not listen. Because I'm selling out to stop the run. I'm going to sell out to stop Curtis Allen. And I'm going to let my corners be on an island all day. And we're going to see. If Lincoln scored 21, we're going to talk about if Lincoln scored 21, why can't we? We're going to talk about that in a second. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. But we're going to see. You have to. That's the only. Yes. I'm selling out to stop the run. And I'm telling that secondary, hey, y'all one-on-one on an island all day. What y'all going to do? Because we shutting Curtis Allen down. And we're going to make them beat us throwing the ball. That's what I would do. Now, here's the other side of the football, though. You have to be in a position to exploit that trash secondary that Union has. And that was the one thing that I did not see against Bluefield State. Kevin Taylor was not able to really get into a rhythm in the passing game as much as you would like to see or expect to see. There were still times where he didn't have time to throw. There were still times where he felt rushed or hurried or maybe didn't see things clearly. and he had some guys open. There was a couple of deep passes that could have been touchdowns that just missed on a little bit. There were other throws that were there, just missed a little bit because of the mechanics and the footwork and rushing. Which goes to this point. Once again, I'm glad that we're using the fullback. I'm glad that we're using play action. I'm glad that we're getting under center. But we are still not throwing the ball to the tight ends. That's a problem. Still not taking the short 5-6 completions across the middle to the tight end. I don't know what Kyrie Scott did, but they refused to put him in the game and use him as a tight end. The other guy, the 6'6 guy, they refused to put tight ends in the game and use them. And I don't know what the issue they got against tight ends, but listen. Because what has to happen is you have to use the fullbacks and the tight ends to, number one, give the quarterback some time so he can step in and throws. You got to use the tight ends to get some quick, easy completions, to build confidence, to get the quarterback into a rhythm. That's the key things. You have to get the quarterback confident, get the quarterback into a rhythm, give him some easy throws, some easy completions. That has to happen. That didn't happen on Saturday, but we got away with it because, Bluefield can't stop the run. Curtis Allen doesn't have any yards. Well, I don't know how many yards Curtis Allen has against us. I don't know. I know he got 1,400 on the season so far. I know that. Yeah, Jada Byers is more about like Jada Byers is going to make you miss, and then once you miss Jada Byers, he was gone. Curtis Allen's a little bigger, stronger back, and so it's a little bit different, right? That is true. There's never any throws across the middle. There's hardly any. But once again, you know what help you throw across the middle more if you put a tight end in the game. And so that's the thing. That's the key to this game. Gotta stop the run and gotta be effective in the passing game. And so that leads to this point. Once again, I told you, at one point in the game, it was 24-21. And so the question becomes, how did Lincoln score 21 points? As a matter of fact, how did Lincoln get 3 passing touchdowns? I'm about to show you exactly what happened, right? I'm going to show it to you. And then we're going to talk about offensive coordinators, right? Because that's important. And when I saw how Lincoln scored, I'm not going to lie, I made me kind of upset about our offense. Because what you're going to see from Lincoln's offense is creativity, motion, misdirection, putting players in a position to make plays, confusing the defense, making it easier on the players. Versus when you look at Bowie State's offense, there's really no creativity, no misdirection, no element of surprise. It's basically, look, hopefully our players can beat your players, and because that's all it is. I'm going to show you exactly what it is. So let's pull this up. Here we go. It's also going to show you how bad Union secondary is. Let me make myself even smaller so y'all can see this. All right, let me go here. Go 7-5. All right, now let's look at this. At this point, it's 21-0. Let's look at how Lincoln scores. First of all, you're going to see the secondary is vulnerable. Come on, man. Don't fall down on me like that. All right. So as you can see, here's the first touchdown. Well, this is the big completion that got them into the red zone. Secondary weak, just flat out got beat. Talking to them too. But this is what I want to show you guys. Look at this red zone offense. Look at this. And it's like, why can't we have this at Bowie State, right? Check this out. As you can see, there's only one receiver out to the right. It's looking like you see a running back in the backfield. So, of course, everybody's thinking this is a running play, right? Everybody's thinking, okay, they're going to try to run the ball in the red zone, right? And then the receiver motions closer to the line. So you're thinking, okay, for sure they about to run the ball. But watch what they actually do, though. Watch this. First of all, you think it's a run play, but look, 3 receivers actually break out and run routes. Union was not expecting this. So you got play action to the running back, and now we have 3 receivers running the routes. Look at this beautiful play design. You got one receiver right here, one going to the left right there. He's going to take these 2. They don't know what to do. This guy's going to be wide open in the flat. Look at this. Look at that. He's wide open. Wide open. He's actually late on the throw because he's wide open right there. The throw is very late. He's wide open. But let me show you that again. Look at this. Look at the play design and the play calling in the red zone versus what we do. Once again, there's one receiver out right here. Everybody's thinking run. It's going to be a play action pass, and there's actually going to be 3 receivers that run a route. This receiver right here is going to take both defenders up there, and the guy's going to be open in the flat. He motions in, and what he's going to do is clear it out for the flat. He's going to take both guys with him, wide open. The throw is late, but it works. They get the touchdown. Wide open. Here's my question. Why don't we do stuff like that? I'm going to do this like from right here. In the last 3 years, have you seen anything from our offense that's anywhere near as creative as that? I'll answer the question. No, you have not. What you have seen is 3 receivers over here, 1 over there, and a bunch of nonsense. Here we go. Curtis Allen versus Bowie State. 8 rushes, 35 yards, 1 touchdown in 23. In 24, 8 rushes for 50 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, but that wasn't behind Union's offensive line, though. That's the thing, though. He didn't have Union's offensive line. Hey, I'm with you. Hopefully it happens, but I'm just saying, we'll see. I hope you're right. But once again, have you ever seen anything that creative from us? No, you haven't. Let's look at some more. Misdirection. Players in motion. Oh, here's another one. Hold on. Look at this play. You have 2 receivers right here. So you got 2 potential screens or 2 fake screens right here, right? And that's going to, look, straight up the middle, wide open. Let me go back, though. Look at the route design. You got 2 guys in the flat. They don't know who to cover. Then you got 2 guys going up the middle. They don't know who to cover. They leave one wide open. Touchdown. But this also I'm gonna show you the weakness of the team is the secondary, because when you see how this touchdown happens, you'll see, hey, they can be got. Because what's going to happen on this play is the quarterback is going to drop the snap. And for whatever reason, the moment the QB drops the snap, the corners stop covering and they all run to the backfield, leaving the receivers wide open. It's the craziest thing I've seen. Like, they all just stop defending their man and run to the backfield as if they don't have a responsibility already. So they're not very good, number one, and they're not disciplined either. So they can be got. But watch this. Look at this. The ball's going to drop, and watch this guy on the bottom corner right here. He's going to completely leave his man. This guy right here, he's going to completely leave as well. They're all going to run to the backfield as if they can get there fast enough. Look at this. The ball drops. Look, everybody's running to try to get to the ball, even though they're 10 yards away. Wide open. They just left them wide open. So, of course, he picks up the ball. Hey, he's wide open. Touchdown. Let me show you that again. Look at this. Just left them. Everybody. So they're very undisciplined. So they can be gotten. If you're a bully, you're going to be a bully. Hey, I hope so. Hey, I'm with you. I hope so. Because once again, I'm putting that secondary on an island and saying, hey, man, y'all can't let this 5'9" quarterback beat y'all. That throws for 150 yards a game. He can't beat y'all. Because we set him out to stop this run. But once again, it's going to come down to the offense. That play I just showed y'all in the red zone. When have you seen us run anything close to that creative in the last 3 years? You haven't. And so that brought me up to when I saw that. I ain't gonna put the. When I saw that, that made me think. Because listen, there's been a whole lot of talk about changes across the CIAA in the offseason, right? And so when you look at Lincoln at, I think, at this point, 0-7, it's looking like Lincoln will not win the game. There could be some changes coming at Lincoln. But what I did see was I like Lincoln's offensive coordinator. So that got me to looking. I said, who is Lincoln's offensive coordinator? And I did a little bit of research, and it turns out their offensive coordinator is a guy by the name of Joel Hirsch. This is his first year at Lincoln. Prior to coming to Lincoln, he was at Fort Valley State. But remember, he was at Fort Valley State with Sean Gibbs. Sean Gibbs is now at North Carolina A&T. For whatever reason, he didn't take Joel with him, so then Joel wound up at Lincoln. But let's look at Joel's resume while at Fort Valley State. Over 3 seasons coordinating Fort Valley State offense, Hirsch's success has been clearly evident. In 31 games calling plays, the unit averaged 357 yards a game and 119 touchdowns in 31 games. Back-to-back SEAC rushing leaders. One of them is in the league with the Green Bay Packers right now. In 2024, Hurst directed the Fort Valley State offense to 30 points per game. They recorded 42 points in 7 of 10 games. In 2023, they scored 327 points over 11 games. And so when I look at the resume, and I'm looking at the play calling and the play design that they have at Lincoln this year, I'm saying, listen, if we can't figure out our offense, because once again, remember I told you Bluefield State was the biggest game, and they got the win. Now, just to finish 500, you got to beat Union, win homecoming, and then beat Lincoln. Got to win out just to finish 500. And so we're going to be, I'm going to be looking at this offense. Because once again, I still haven't seen use of the tight end. I still haven't seen you being able to figure out how to get Kevin Taylor into a rhythm, get him comfortable. If that's not something that you can figure out against Union, if that's not something that you can figure out and win homecoming, then at a certain point, somebody's got to come in that could run a efficient offense. And this Joel guy, I like this Joel guy. I'm gonna be real with you. Also, I think he might be available, depending on how things go at Lincoln. Because just being real, offensively, something has to change. Once again, I'm glad that we've done some things differently. I'm glad we're getting under center. I'm glad we're using play action. I'm glad we're using the fullback. That's good. I think even a couple of plays, we might have even had some pre-snap motion on a couple of plays. Okay. But the fact that we're talking about this in year 3, when these are things you should have been trying to implement in year 1, at the latest year 2, or at the very latest after the loss to Winston. That's the very latest some of these changes should have been tried, after the Winston loss. You can't wait till after you lose that one and the Fayetteville State one and the Virginia State one. And then, man, listen, man. Some of this stuff some of these new wrinkles, we should have seen them a long time ago. See, and here's the thing with a lot of offensive coaching. There are some guys who they see their personnel, they see the players that they have, and they figure out what system, what style of play can I use to magnify the strengths of the talent that I have. Right? That's what some coaches do. This is the personnel that I have. This is what they're good at. So what system, what plays can I use to put them in a position to excel? Then there are some coaches who say, I have my idea. I have my philosophy. I have what I want to run. And I'm going to make every player, regardless of their strengths and weaknesses, I'm going to make every player fit into my system. There's a lot of coaches like that as well. Then there are coaches who say, you know what? I know what my players can do. I'm going to put them in positions to be successful. And on top of that, I'm going to look at the opponent that we have week to week. And I'm going to add some things and tweak some things based on the weaknesses of my opponent. But listen, when it comes to, I'm going to be real with y'all, when it comes to HBCU football, there's a lot of bad offensive coaching. Bad. Not using the players you have, misusing the players that you have, not creative, not effective, not adjusting, not exploiting weaknesses and mismatches, just trying to, you got your idea of what you think works, so you just keep trying that same stuff over and over and over. It's a whole lot of that going on in HBCU football. But good coaches, they're looking at Union and saying, okay, offensively, we can exploit them in the passing game. So what can we do to exploit them in the passing game? That's what they're looking at. Once again, that play I showed y'all from Lincoln in the red zone versus Union, we ain't ran nothing like that in years. You saw that play? Everybody thought it was a run. The guy was open right away, wide open. I think I have another. Do I have another play here? I had a couple of plays from Lincoln this year and that offensive coordinator. But once again, listen. Once again, for first things first, have to stop the run. Then you got to get Taylor into a rhythm. Then you got to exploit them in the passing game. You got to possess the ball. You got to convert on third downs. You got to convert in the red zone. You got to have half the penalties that you had last week. Straight up. Even if you don't beat Union, you at least have to look like you can compete with a team like that. And then you have to beat Elizabeth City State. That's listen, straight up. You cannot lose homecoming. And don't get me wrong, ECSU is better. They fight hard, they compete, they have a lot of close losses. But it's homecoming. We have a losing record. You can't lose to ECSU. You just can't do it. And then after that, you absolutely cannot lose to Lincoln. I could be wrong, but it's looking like Lincoln is going to go over. It doesn't look like Lincoln is going to win a game this year. You can't be the one that they win. That's something that you cannot. You can't. Listen, Lincoln is looking for Owen. That's what Lincoln is doing. Lincoln is looking for Owen. 0-10. That's what they're looking for. Lincoln got blown out basically at home by Shaw. You can't lose to Lincoln. Listen, the ECSU, I'm going to be real. The ECSU game can be close. It's just two things that can't happen. It can't be close because you look inept on offense. And you can't lose. Those are two things that cannot happen. It can't be homecoming and you in a dogfight with ECSU because you're not competent on offense. That happens. Listen, man. We're going to start looking in some other direction. I'm just listen. Straight up. You have to find a way to score points against ECSU. It can't be you can't play ECSU at home for homecoming and you scoring 17, 21 points on up. No, they ain't gonna cut it. But more importantly, you can't lose that game. You got to do whatever you got to do. You got to win homecoming against Elizabeth City State. Worst case scenario has to be you finish the season winning 3 or 4. You got the one against Bluefield. You got to get ECSU. You got to get Lincoln. That's 3. The 4th one is Union. Because of how the season went, you really want to beat Union because you want to finish 500. You don't want to go back-to-back years with a losing record. You don't want to do that. Also, let's be real. You finish 4 and 6. That's going to put you at what? 9th place, 8th place out of 11 teams in the country. You don't want to do that back-to-back years either. You want to finish 5 and 5. You want to finish looking like you figure things out on offense. Listen, man, the streets are talking. That's all I'm going to tell you. The streets are talking. It's in everybody's best interest to win out. And to win out scoring points. It's that simple. Got to score points, got to win games. You know, a few years ago, I heard something about, this is when Mike McCarthy was getting fired from Green Bay. And it was a quote that somebody said where it's like some offensive philosophies lean on their players. Basically, I'm going to lean on the players to make plays. And then there's some teams that lean on their system or their scheme, their plays. Meaning they come up with good schemes and good situations to put players in the good advantage to make plays. And so, honestly, what I believe has been happening in the last few years is that we've been very player-driven, meaning we're going to lean on our players to make plays, as opposed to coming up with good plays to put our players in good positions to be successful. These last couple of weeks, we have to see plays being drawn up to put players in advantageous positions to be successful on the field. And I'm going to show y'all this red zone play one more time because, honestly, I ain't seen Bowie do nothing like this in years. Let me go back to this because this is crazy to me. Check this out one more time. Look at this. First of all, once again, there's one wide receiver out. You're thinking, and they're thinking, this is a run play. But it's not. First of all, look at this. You got pre-snap motion, number one. The defense clearly doesn't know what they're doing. The cornerbacks don't know what's going on because there's only one receiver out wide. Pre-snap motion, confuse the defense, play action, good route design. So this one receiver takes 2 defenders, and you got a guy wide open in the flat. Come on, man. When have you seen us do something like that? In the last 3 years. When? You haven't seen us do anything close to that creative in the past 3 years. That's what I'm saying. Hey, man, if changes come at Lincoln and Joel Hirsch is a free agent, hey, man, give that young man a call. I like how he thinks. But once again, we got the win. We averted the crisis because, listen, the sky would have been falling. We'd have lost the blue field. Oh my goodness, straight panic mode. So that didn't happen. Got that win. That's good. Want to beat Union? Got to stop the run. And got to come up with an effective passing game to exploit that secondary. And once you do that, guess what? The run opens up for Micah Robinson and Maximus Jones. And you just seen against Bluefield, they are more than capable of toting that rock. This all comes down to, are the people who are in position to run the offense, can they effectively do that? That's what it comes down to. Can you effectively run an offense? That's what we're going to see on Saturday. Can you effectively run the offense? Or at this point, is it what it is? You know, and we talked about this a while ago. You're playing the Virginia States, the Virginia Unions, those good teams just scoring 15 points a game. Is that still the case, or have you figured it out? Are you capable of figuring it out? That's what we're going to see on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? I think, who said they was going to be in the building? I think Drew said he's going to be there, or was it Jason? Let me go back. Oh, yeah, Jason going to be out in the building. I'm going to be in the building, too, so we're going to see. But, yeah, man, I'm going to see you guys in Union. And listen. You got to figure out that offense, or listen, man, it's time to start. Listen. Got to figure out that offense. But we'll see on Saturday.
And now we're talking about Bluefield State, and it's at home for Bluefield. So I mean, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't be looking to pick them originally, but man, that's a very trendy pick, I think.
Diving forward, touchdown, back inside at the 5, and he's in, touchdown, and he's in for the score. And he bounces into the end zone for 6 more, touchdown.
Methinks not. Methinks not. Methinks not.